Well, it's Saturday, March. The big dance card's going to be filled out this week for the NCAA basketball tournament. I and millions of others are very interested in that. But before we leave Tahoe, I wanted to do something that's a matter of conscience for me. I've always been very doubtful about the business of arresting people for what they look at on the internet. And I've always wondered if there's any documented studies that suggest that people that look at the wrong things on the internet or post the wrong things on the internet actually are, high percentage-wise, etc., proven to be dangerous to children. And the gentleman that I wanted to visit in the city jail here has been under fire for at least a year, and he's still waiting for trial. And I wanted to let him know that I was thinking of him, and that dumb little me that knows nothing, has no political pull or anything, will do as much as I can, which is probably nothing, but I'm going to try it anyway, to see that he gets justice. He gets the constitutional rights of people in America. Well, he's fortunately, in the jail now in Lake Tahoe. For months he was down in, I think, Sacramento. But at least he's up here where now once in a while his wife and children can come in, separated by a big old plate glass, but at least eyeball each other. So I'm going to see him, if they'll let me, in the city jail. By golly, my earlier visits at the McAllister prison in Oklahoma and the Canyon City prison in Colorado didn't prepare me for a visit to a real city, I suppose maybe also county, but a city jail, Lake Tahoe's jail. It's a Saturday, and by the time I got it located, which wasn't easy for me because I didn't really know where they were, lots of buildings, big buildings. And my daughter told me which one of the ones there that I should circle to find the jail. Being a Saturday, I went by a lot of locked doors. And finally, I saw a sign that said, "Jail, press button." Pressed the button, and by gosh, a female voice said, "Yes, I'm trying to find the jail. Where are you?" "Oh, I know where you are. Keep going in the direction you were going away from your car and circle around the building until you come to the other side and little steps down. Go down those steps and you're in the jail." Oh, I was glad to hear that. I was beginning to think that I'd misunderstood the instructions my daughter had given me. Well, I found the jail, walked down just as the man was coming out, and I asked him, "Is this the jail?" And he laughed. He said, "Yeah, you're trying to find the jail? I know how that goes. But you have found the jail. Come on in." Went in, there was an officer behind, a big plate glass. And I went up there and he said, "What can I do for you?" And I said, "I'd like to visit KG. And he said, "Let me see your ID." So pulled out my wallet, gave him my driver's license. He looked it over, he asked me some questions relative to the information on that card. And said, "Do you go by Leroy?" A little jibe at that spelling of Dean. First he asked me, "By what name do you go?" And I said, "Dean." And a little jibe there at that D-E-A-N-E spelling, that I don't know why it was that way, but that's the way my name was spelled by my parents, so that's the way I spell it. Well, after he had a little fun with that, and asked whatever else he wanted to, and I answered, he took a little time, he used a computer, do a little checkup on the old boy sat there in front of him. I was impressed, quite impressed. Well, I thought when he'd finished with that, we're done. No way. Stand over there, look at the camera up there, take your picture. By gosh, they've got your name, rank, serial number, and a photo ID that's right up to date in case you give any trouble or if there's any reason to Well, I have a little follow-up on a visitor. Well, he says, go ahead through that door. He presses the button, lets you go in, and sit at counter 2. Boy, it's like the old movies on TV. Bunch of little cubicles there, and each one had a telephone up to the left. And I sat down at number 2, and very shortly KG came in, and boy, I was impressed. For a man that's been in jail for over a year, he looked as healthy in body, soul, spirit as when I used to see him at his home, when he was kind enough to let my wife and I and our daughter come over to his house to see Survivor on Thursday nights when we'd be up here visiting, and Rhonda's TV didn't do the job. I told him I was impressed. Well, he said they let us do some working out and so on. And he said you have to do your best to stay fit. But boy, it was good to see him fit, and I told him so. So I told him, you know, he told me he's glad, appreciated me coming, and did I have anything in particular in mind? I said, well, yeah, I can't maybe do anything, but I'm going to do my best to see to it that the review, because to me this is one more foolishness that came in under Bush. When a sicko, a Congressman Foley, announces that we're going to make their lives hell, and he's a pedophile because he's hustling these congressional aides, interns. I bet he's not been locked up the last year. But anyway, Karsten and I had a nice visit. He was so grateful to be in Tahoe where his wife and children can come up. Painful to be separated by that wall. Hard on the kids. But yet at least they get to see Daddy's alive and well, and he gets to see his wife and children. And he said, incidentally, that they've come down to this one charge for one picture that he evidently did put on the internet, and that they'd offered him a deal, but he didn't want a deal, that he wants a fair trial. He wants to go to trial. I hope it turns out well. He asked about my daughter, and when I told him that she'd had some health problems, but that she was teaching PE, he said, she's teaching PE instead of elementary, first grade? I said, yeah. He said, why? I said, because she feels she can have a positive effect on the entire school. Oh, he said, I know that's true. I told her that years ago. They were fellow teachers for years, did a lot of things together. To be in the predicament that he's in, he's doing very, very well. And I hope to God that somehow justice and fairness and constitutional protections apply even to a man who was looking at stuff he shouldn't have been looking at, and then was dumb enough to put a picture on that he should have never put on. But is that the kind of crime that should put you doing? Well, he's done over a year of time already. He didn't even have a trial. More on it later.